Yeah, welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to discuss the our stack implementation that will support the for each loop. So basically, it will implement the iterable interface. Okay, so the example is Java stack example 3 stack it. Okay, let's take a look. And the majority part of this stack class, um, it's the same as the second example, the unbounded one implementation. Okay. So our implementation still using the unbounded, so using the current capacity. So the new feature we add on top of that is this stack class also implement the iterable interface. And because it implements the iterable interface, if you recall, iterable interface is a functional interface. Okay, so it has a single method iterator. So we needed to implement that iterator method. So then let's take a look. Where do we implement the iterable or iterator method? How do we implement it? Okay. So this is the iterator method, and it returns an iterator. And the iterator is also an interface. Okay. So it has a function called iterator. So we need to so for this function, we needed to because it's a return an iterator, etc. So we needed to create an object, and that object also supports iterator interface. Because the iterator is an interface, so you cannot just return interface. You need to return object. So basically, we need to create a class that implements the iterator interface. Okay, so what over here we do is so we have this variable created. The type is the iterator, integer iterator. Then we just go ahead directly do new iterator, and the constructor is it. So basically, this is anonymous class. Okay. So it's a class that implements the iterator interface. And if the class implements the iterator interface, then it needed to implement the has next and the next method, okay, and also the remove method. But here it's not important, so we didn't implement it, okay. And so for this iterator, for this iterator class, we define an instance variable. We call it a current index because this iterable is just to do the traversing one by one, is it with it one by one. So we need to keep track of the current location, current index location. So that's why here we have this current index. So it will be the top one. Okay, we want to keep track of. Okay, so it's a top index. Okay, and the has next we just check. Okay, if it's greater or equal than 0, because otherwise to reach, if you recall, it will reach beyond the below the bottom, it will be -1. Okay, so that's why we need to keep it greater or equal than 0. And this next is going to retrieve the next item. That retrieve the next item just using arrays with its index. Okay. Um, so you can get the item and then return it. At the same time, you also need to remember to advance it. To advance it here just means we loop from the top to bottom, so we decrement the index. Okay, and then you can return this object that supports the iterator interface. Okay, so this is the implementation of this iterator method that we needed to override. So then let's take a look at the driver. Okay, so with this stack, it implements the iterable interface. What did we do here? Okay, so in main, we first create a stack object. So this is a we have 10 integers. Okay, and because it supports the iterable interface, so you can call the iterator method to retrieve the iterator and then call the has next and next to do the traversing. Okay, and because it already implement iterable interface, so that's why here you can do the for each loop. Okay, that's because we implement, otherwise it will not be supported. And then let's take a look. We also try to find the item. Okay, so we have another function called find in stack. Let's see what it does. Okay, so what it does is is going to do the loop using the for each loop. That and if the item can be found, you return true. Otherwise, we just return false. Pretty straightforward. Okay. And then next, let's take a look at the run of this application to see what it output. Okay. And then if we take a look at the output, yeah, the iterator does work. And then we can also see that it does check if the item is in the stack. Okay, that's about the stack class that implements the iterable interface. That's for this lecture, and we'll see you in our next lecture.